In this session, we'll go back to the cultivating mindfulness practice. Of course, in Buddhism, this is often referred to as the Shamata practice, to develop that calm, clear, focused mind. In these 2 days, we're working with 3 different objects. Today, we're working with the breath. So this morning, we worked with the full body and the abdomen practices. Now, I'd like to move to focusing at the entrance of the nostrils. And then at the end of this session, we're going to do the Shavasana posture with the breath practice, particularly emphasizing relaxation. With these variations of the breath practice, we saw that the full body breath practice is particularly suitable for working with relaxation. The abdomen is particularly suitable for improving stability of attention. The nostrils, which we're going to do now, is particularly suitable for improving clarity of attention, because we're bringing our attention up and it's a much more small object. So it can really help to improve the clarity of our attention. Particularly with this one, it's important to keep very relaxed because it's a much smaller object and it's probably more difficult to focus on. The tendency can be to tense, to really, I need to find that sensations and to tense. So we need to be mindful if we're tensing and really relax on every out-breath if we're finding tension. The other thing we need to be aware of is that because the sensations here are more difficult to detect, the tendency can be to force the breathing, so it's easier to pick up the sensation, so that we don't want to do that either. Just let the breathing flow naturally. So to introduce this practice, I'd like to again read from the book from Alan Wallace, Attention Revolution, and what he about this practice, some very practical advice. He says the following on page 45. Mentally, the initial emphasis in Shamata practice is on relaxation, which can be induced by attending to the sensations of breathing throughout the body. The second emphasis is on stability of attention, and for this it can be helpful to observe the sensations of breathing in the region of the belly. Then, having established a foundation of relaxation and stability, we shift the emphasis to cultivating clarity of attention. It is crucially important that stability is not gained at the expense of relaxation, and that the increasing of clarity does not coincide with a decrease of stability. The relationship among these 3 qualities can be likened to the roots, trunk, and foliage of a tree. As your practice grows, the roots of relaxation go deeper, the trunk of stability gets stronger, and the foliage of clarity reaches higher. So I think this is a very good analogy for these 3 qualities we're cultivating: relaxation, stability, clarity. The roots of the tree are relaxation. So if we don't first sink deep roots of relaxation, our tree of stability and clarity is going to fall over. So first we need to sink deep roots of relaxation. That can support the trunk of stability. The stronger the trunk of stability, the higher the branches and leaves of clarity can grow. So I think this is a very good analogy. In this practice session, shift the emphasis to clarity. You do this by elevating the focus of attention and directing it to a subtler object. Direct your attention to the tactile sensations of your breath at the apertures of your nostrils or above your upper lip, wherever you feel the in and outflow of your breath. So what that means is we can focus anywhere in this area here. Some people find it easier to focus at the actual entrance of the nostrils. Other people find it easier to focus here above the upper lip. So whatever you find easiest in this area, that's where to focus. Elevating the focus of attention helps to induce clarity, and attending to a subtle object enhances that further. Observe these sensations at the gateway of the respiration, even between breaths. There is an ongoing flow of tactile sensations in the area of the nostrils and upper lip. So sustain your attention there as continuously as possible. if the breath becomes so subtle that you can't detect the sensations of its flow, quiet your mind and observe more carefully. As you arouse the clarity of attention, eventually the sensations of the breath will become evident again. So what you find here, of course, is that because it's a much smaller object, it's more difficult to find the sensations. What we don't want to do is tense or force the breath. It's just patiently stay there, looking very closely for the sensations. And then as our mind calms down, becomes more clear, we'll start to pick up these sensations here. He says, on the periphery of your awareness, you may still note other sensations throughout your body, as well as sounds and so on. Just let them be without trying to block them out, and focus your attention single-pointedly on the sensations around the apertures of your nostrils. Count your breaths if you find this helpful. Arouse your faculty of introspection so that you quickly note whether excitation or laxity has arisen and take the necessary steps to balance the attention when such problems occur. So again, what he's suggesting here is that if you get distracted a lot and you find counting helpful to focus, to stabilize your attention, bring it in. Some people find counting helpful, other people find it's just another distraction. But if you find it helpful, bring it in. But with counting, don't overuse it. Don't use it like all the time. Only use it when you find yourself heavily distracted. Then bring it in until your mind stabilizes. When you find your mind is a little bit more stable, let it go and just go back to focusing on the breath. So just use it as you need it. Eventually, when you get deeper into the practice, you'll need to let go of counting altogether. Now, some traditions, instead of talking about counting the breath, they talk about noting the breath. So you might like to try that also, instead of counting. So instead of mentally counting, you mentally note, like breathing in, breathing out, or simply in, out. If you're, again, using noting, keep it very simple. Don't make it elaborate because it just becomes another distraction. So you might like to experiment with noting or counting if you find it helpful. If you don't find it helpful, just leave it out. Any questions about the practice before we go to the meditation?